The storylines surrounding this Philadelphia 76ers team are truly like no other team in the NBA, and it keeps getting worse surrounding this man, Joel Embiid. Fresh off the news of the players only meeting behind closed doors, we immediately found out the ins and outs of that meetings with direct quotes due to a leak from Shams Charania. And we were not the only people riled up about that, as Joel Embiid himself has spoken out on why this was so disrespectful with some choice words, some POS words for whoever the source is, and to take it a step further, it now seems that Joel Embiid is intent on finding out who that leak is and making sure that I guess he pays for whatever happened here. So I don't know what the open-ended part of that conversation is here, but I do want to throw it to you right off the bat, Luke. What's kind of your initial feelings on the fact that this meeting was leaked and your thoughts on Joel being so upset by it?
He sounds like he's looking to give someone a little bit of the Marcus Hayes treatment after that latest encounter. But turmoil, hostility, whatever kind of word you want to describe, essentially as a dumpster fire, that's what you can. I mean, for once, I would like to come on here and talk about, all right, I think Embiid needs more touches around the basket, or the pick and roll game on offense looked good tonight. It's just like we're TMZ reporters out here more so than basketball reporters, and be quite frank, it's getting quite annoying. Can we just simply focus about things on the basketball court? And I think that was what Embiid was talking about at one point as well. He was kind of like, you gotta, I've had to deal with this stuff my entire career. But at the same time, point the finger at the mirror yourself a little bit
Yep.
because you're the central figure in most of these kind of debacles. So another headache, another head scratcher, but that's what it is in Sixers land, and that's what it's been for a decade plus now.
Yeah, I was gonna say it is not new to this season that this has been the storyline for this franchise. I even had hope coming into this year that this would be a normal basketball season. That for the first time it felt like a fairly fine off season, mostly normal, and that was out the window extremely quickly this year. Now, to give a reminder of what specific the leak is that come out, did want to refer to the article specifically from Shams, which writes that Maxey challenged Embiid to be on time to team activities, calling out the 2022-2023 league MVP about being late, quote, for everything, and how it impacts the locker room from other players to the coaching staff, sources briefed on the meeting told ESPN. Maxey and Embiid have a close friendship and a history of holding each other accountable, according to those around the team. Quote, Tyrese loves big fella, but this is the elephant in the room, a person involved in the meeting told ESPN. Players told 76ers coach Nick Nurse they want to be coached harder, and the coaches in turn said they want players to practice with purpose and attention to detail. Embiid accepted the messages sent in the meeting, sources said, but he stated that he is sometimes confused about what the 76ers are attempting to execute on the court. Now, I've seen a lot of kind of these handpicked, aggregated quotes that I do think have painted Joel in bad light. He has not done himself any favors in how he's handled himself, but to kind of give the full context on some of what he said when questioned about this meeting to the media here, did want to pull this up here, and this being from Gina Mizell of the Philadelphia Inquirer. So Joel starts out saying, quote, we talked about a lot of things. I don't want to get into detail, but that whole thing, that part of it took probably 40 seconds, but it's Joel Embiid, so things will always get blown out of proportion. It's whatever, though. I'll take it. I'm the reason for everything, so I guess I'll take the blame for everything. There was nothing malicious being said. I like when people are telling me when I'm not doing good and when I need to be better. That part of it, the tardiness, probably happened once or twice when I wasn't playing, so I need to be better. I need to be perfect. I need to be on point, which I'm going to do. So what do you think about these comments kind of on the conversation, Ryan?
At the end, I like it in terms of basically the commitment to being better. And I think just on the court, we saw he looked better last night,
Yeah.
a little bit more determined and some more energy in his play. But that first part of it is just huge baby kind of language. That's something that a middle schooler, an elementary schooler says, it's all my fault. I'll take the blame. And just like, dude, like you're the adult in the room. You're the face of the franchise. Of course, the blame and speculation is going to come back on you. You've had chances to ask for an out. You've had chances to dip a contract extension and go play somewhere else. And you've decided to stay. You've been on the record saying that you want to play here your entire career. You know what comes with being an athlete in Philadelphia. And you're still what, 10 years into your career now and you're not fully adjusted to that yet. Like he's acting like this is a surprise to him. He's been through it all. He's been through the Ben Simmons. He's been through the Brett Brown, the Doc Rivers, the Colangelo,
Yeah.
everything in between. Hinkie, you know that everything's not sunshine and rainbows in Philadelphia. I don't know why you're expecting anything to be different, but you're still the franchise player. You're supposed to step up and be the adult in the room in these situations. And he's just kind of playing the, oh yeah, just give me the blame once again, feel bad for me type of energy.
Yeah, I think what frustrates me most is he gets like almost there. He's almost where you want him. He's like, I'm about to take responsibility, exactly what I should say, but also this kind of thing is kind of the classic Joel, and
Yep.
that's pretty consistent throughout. And there's another section of this that I did want to pull up saying here, this from Joel as well, saying, quote, "It's kind of annoying having to deal with the same things over and over and over," Embiid said. "All I am trying to do is focus on basketball and be the best I can for my family on and off the court. But for some reason, it just feels like negativity keeps following me, which I don't understand why. It's a shame, but it doesn't change the fact that we still have to be better as a team. Right now, we don't have a lot of margin for error." So kind of the same tone and breath there, as far as like you're kind of getting there, but you're not quite
Yep.
where I want you to be as far as taking responsibility here. Now, as far as like this conversation as a whole, with Joel specifically, none of it matters until they actually start playing good basketball. That's the cure to everything here. But in reality, I felt like this through the entire season, that there's just something missing with Joel. That it feels like there's something we don't know, whether it's something going on with him personally, whether it is a health version of himself, him not being the 100% version. Maybe that never happens again. If it is, he doesn't trust the knee. It just feels like there's something missing to this equation. And I felt that way from start to finish that season. What do you think about that, Ryan?
Yeah, he did it like watching him last night, even when he was playing well. He didn't really have that swagger and the confidence, like just persona wise, that
Yeah.
we've been accustomed to him seeing. Like he goes in those spells, I think, where he's like, all right, I'm not Troel anymore. Like I'm just gonna be an adult, just go out there, handle my business on the floor. But I think, quite frankly, he plays best when he's doing the DMX chop, when he's
Having fun.
yeah, hyping up the crowd. I remember the dunk he had in the playoff game in the series against the Raptors, where he runs down the court like the plane, like things like that, where I think he's at his best, and it brings not only his teammates alive, but the building alive as well. Like Sixers home court can be one of the best in the league when he's bringing the energy and playing like it. So for him to just be out there, kind of, still finding a way to 35 and 11, but going through the motions, it seemed like, and not really wanting to be there. Um, that's still a little bit concerning to me. So the starting this 4-game homestand, I think there's going to be a lot of hostility in the building. Boo birds could be coming down
Yep.
in the first quarter, especially if Ben Simmons goes out there tomorrow night and is doing some work. But this is a
Impossible.
huge, this is a huge, excuse me, a huge 4-game homestand to really kind of right the ship and just get some energy and life back into this team, I think. And it all starts once again with number 21.
Yep, 100% there. Now, we've ducked around this question to this point in this video. Who did or who was the leak in the locker room, Ryan? Do you have any kind of prediction for that? And do you care? Does it matter in your mind?
I think it kind of does matter, just because it's like
It's messed up.
that's something that's going to linger over the team, and just like, all right, now I have to watch what I say to everyone. I don't have a person that I would necessarily put my finger on. The only person I could maybe say, just because he's an outsider, I guess, like a new person to the locker room, would be George, just because he is a high profile player, high connected to sources and stuff. And he could be kind of voicing his displeasure of, this isn't going the way I was expecting it to. So if I had to put my money on it, it would be him. And especially to see his podcast clip come out after that didn't really make things a whole lot better in my eyes.
Yeah, pretty insane to me as far as Joel Embiid, whoever said this is a POS, and then Paul George, like, I can't believe somebody leaked it. So let's talk about
Yeah.
this meeting for what happened here. Pretty insane stuff there. I think it'd be a number of guys. For what it's worth, like that kind of loyalty, that commitment to a team, that's built up over time. That when you have as much roster turnover as was the case, none of these guys, like Caleb Martin or Eric Gordon, are not sitting there with this undying loyalty to Joel Embiid, nor should they at this point in time. That obviously they haven't gone to war together. They haven't like built up that kind of sweat equity that you build in a relationship over time. It's too early for that. I personally feel it was Nick Nurse that did this. That I do think he's the guy that is making it clear this isn't his fault. That I think that's kind of his angle of things here. And if that is the case, if it can be traced back to Nick Nurse, I think he should be fired on the spot. That I do think that's a line that is crossed. And frankly, this is a coaching conversation as well. That it is still reflective of you, the fact that this team is 2-12 and the worst team in the NBA right now. Even with all the injuries, that simply should not be the case. That this team is better than that record indicates, and that is a reflection of Nurse. That you have to do things to raise this floor to this team, and you haven't. So if that is the case, I do think you move on from Nick Nurse immediately, because I think that is a breach of trust, and at least then you have something to rally behind as a team. I think there is a world where that's beneficial. Do I expect that to be the way that things play out? Probably not. I think we probably never know for certainty who said this or who leaked it, but I do think it's an issue, the fact that literally like 12 hours after this happened, we have word for word quotes being run with on ESPN. To me, that is messed up.
Yeah, and it could be viewed as a little bit of a weird reference, but it's kind of like doctor-patient confidentiality. Like
Yeah.
things that happen in the locker room should stay that way. It should only be the people that were in that room, just like if it was a patient telling their doctor something personal. Like that is like you said it best, a breach of trust that should stay in that locker room and only in that locker room. And the word for word quotes running right to Shams right after it's not a good look all around, and it just gives you more and more kind of reason to not believe that this thing's going to get turned around and it's going to get uglier and things could blow up. Like it also reminded me a little bit of what we were hearing at the end of last year with the Eagles and the Eagles in the locker room and all the hostility that was going on. And while they seem to turn it around, it's a whole year later, a whole season later.
Yeah.
The Sixers still have the whole season to play. That's the most concerning part about this.
Yeah, and as Joel pointed out in one of those quotes, there is not a lot of margin for error at this point in time. We are talking about dead last in the entire NBA, which is embarrassing to everyone in this organization from start to finish. So I cannot believe this is the start of the season we're talking about, but nonetheless, there's no direction to go from here but up, I hope. So this better be rock bottom. I thought we've hit it like 3 times already this season, but nonetheless, they keep proving me wrong. But ultimately, hopefully this is the start of the turnaround. Hopefully Joel Embiid is not catching another suspension for beating up somebody for leaking things out of the locker room. That would be the cherry on top. And frankly, I'm not putting the chances of that happening at 0, but hopefully that is not how things go from here. Regardless, appreciate each and every one of you guys for rocking with us throughout this rocky start to the season. So make sure you're smashing that subscribe button if you have not already. Drop a like on this video. Any comments you have below, we'll be back talking with you next time right here on Sixers Digest. Peace.